Hey, check it out, it's Jan, 1/3 of MediaShinobi, and unfortunately Chris and Scott couldn't be here today due to schedule conflicts. So I'm going to be doing things solo for the next couple of videos, and really this video is all about Legend of Korra and the current situation that surrounds it. So news, rumors, fan speculation, to other miscellaneous things that are worth mentioning. So right off the bat, we finally got an exact date for when book 4 of The Legend of Korra is going to premiere, and that's October 3rd, which is literally in a couple of weeks. And honestly, I don't know, I have mixed emotions right now. On one hand, yes, you do get it faster and you don't have to wait as long. But at the same time, there has to be some amount of downtime between books and seasons because, and when I mean downtime, I mean legitimate downtime, like couple of months minimum. And you know, book 3 just ended a couple of weeks ago and we're now going into book 4, and this is book 4 we're talking about. So by the end of this year, we're gonna be officially done with The Legend of Korra. I mean, to be honest, we all kind of knew book 4 was gonna come out early. I was thinking winter or spring 2015, but Nickelodeon is probably doing this for a couple of reasons. First off, book 4 is gonna be strictly online, so you don't have to deal with what particular time slot you're in. You don't have to worry about whether you're going before or after a particular show. You don't have to worry about like trailers and teasers to show during commercial breaks, between shows that are already showing. None of that stuff, simply because you have to just go to Nickelodeon.com and watch it there. Secondly, this is probably Nickelodeon's attempt at trying to redeem themselves from how they handled book 3. Another thing to note, and you know, humor me on this one, but perhaps, maybe Nickelodeon actually knows what they're doing. Maybe Nickelodeon is using Legend of Korra as a means to experiment with a new lane of distribution, aka online distribution. Maybe we're starting to see the birth of their version of Toonami and Adult Swim, because Toonami and Adult Swim for Cartoon Network, they have to share the channel altogether. So Toonami gets a specific amount of time, then Adult Swim does the same thing, and of course there's the normal schedule for Cartoon Network. With Nickelodeon, this might not necessarily be the case anymore. They could just keep Nickelodeon the way it is, just keep it strictly for kids stuff, and then, you know, their new online distribution, they could start dumping more mature content on there. Of course, that's just me over speculating, and I might just be reaching out a little bit too much, but it's something worth to think about. In other news, the title of book 4 is going to be called Balance. Now, I definitely like the name. I think it's appropriate, and not to mention, isn't that technically the job of the Avatar? I mean, if we were to look at the title itself, Balance, and pick out an attribute that's already been confirmed to be in book 4, like the airbenders or air nomads. The airbenders, I'll just keep it that way. They'll go around to different locations and places and, you know, just basically help people out, you know, as what their culture apparently promotes. And based on that alone, I feel like more airbenders are going to pop out, you know, due to the harmonic convergence to restore the balance in the world. There wasn't enough airbenders, so probably we're going to see more airbenders just to match the population of, you know, like the Earth Kingdom and the Fire Nation and the Water Tribe. I'm pretty sure that the majority, if not the entirety, of the new airbenders that might possibly show up in book 4, they're not going to even be minor characters, so this is going to be literally a minor detail that's happening in book 4. As for Team Avatar themselves, first things first, Korra has a new character design made specifically for book 4. To be completely honest, I think Korra looks great. Short hair definitely works for her. And that's not saying anything bad about long hair for Korra. It's just, I don't know, there's something about short hair on her that just gives off a vibe of maturity. As for Asami, I don't know if this is a rumor or a fact, but I did hear that her father is going to return for book 4. I don't know if it's going to be like a major role or just, you know, kind of a cameo in a sense, but I'm not against it. I think they're going to do one of two things if that's the case. One, he still has a grudge against Benders and Asami will have to confront him again, and, you know, it's the idea of Asami surpassing her father. Or 2, he's fully reformed, he'll somehow help out Asami But for the most part, it's again the idea of Asami surpassing her father. As for Mako and Bolin, I mean, I don't have much to say about them simply because I haven't heard anything like remotely big involving those two, so I'll just skip over to the minor characters now. As for Tenzin, I would like to see a fully fleshed out fight once again, simply because, you know, his fight with Zahir back in book 3 was definitely a highlight, and I would like to see something similar to that in book 4. The same thing can be said for Su Yin and Lin. I definitely like the whole tag team fight versus Pai Li back in book 3. I'm also definitely interested in Su Yin as well because, you know, there's a lot of things surrounding her. A lot of people still think she's evil, and there's another rumor saying that Kuvira, who was a character that was introduced like near the end of book 3, she is the illegitimate child of Su Yin and Zahir. I don't know, I think that's interesting to think about. People are even saying that Kuvira, I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, is the main antagonist for book 4. We know, or at least it's speculated, that the Red Lotus isn't the main focus for book 4. And that brings up one of two things. Either one, they are going to be involved, but, you know, not the main focus. Or two, they're not the main focus until like the very end, where they're kind of like the ones pulling the strings. As for the plot in itself, I've said this before many times in previous videos, and I'll say it again. I feel like they should utilize the idea of a world war. And if you think about it, they kind of have the setup for it. Because look at the past events that has happened. The Earth Kingdom is in pure chaos. We just recently witnessed a civil war between the Northern and Southern Water Tribe. And I don't know if all tension is completely gone between those two. As for the airbenders, they're gonna go and travel across the world and help people whenever they can. But the negative consequences for that is not all people are welcome. In fact, if you try to help people who don't really want it, you're just antagonizing them, and it will just fuel animosity towards one another. And the only thing I can't really speak on is the Fire Nation. I don't know how they're gonna integrate the Fire Nation and Zuko's daughter, aka the Fire Lord, or Zuko. And possibly, I heard General Iroh is going to also be involved in book 4. I don't know how they're going to integrate that into book 4. So that pretty much wraps up what I think about the current situation with book 4 of The Legend of Korra. Like I said before, it's the last book, and then we are done with The Legend of Korra and possibly the Avatar franchise. I don't know if they're going to work on any future projects involving the Avatar anytime soon. They definitely want a break, which is well deserved. They worked their asses off. So the only thing that's left to talk about is the possibilities of what the future has in store for us as fans for the Avatar franchise. The first possibility, which is very popular amongst the fans, is that they want a series for each avatar of a respective element, and they want the cycle to be completed. So we already got an avatar from the Air Nomads. We are currently keeping up with an avatar from the Water Tribe. By this theory, we would also get an avatar from the Earth Kingdom, and then finally an avatar from the Fire Nation. Am I for or against it? Well, to be honest, I could go either way. I'm perfectly content with the idea of The Legend of Korra being the last project within the Avatar franchise. And if we're going to continue with this idea, I think my suggestion to the creators would be to cut off all ties with Nickelodeon. To be honest, I can't see a series like Legend of Korra on any other channel. Like Cartoon Network, nope. Disney, no. Other channels that might be considered, such as HBO, Stars, AMC, no, none of them. If anything, as of right now, I do believe that moving online was a good move. It's just, I don't think Nick was the best partner to do it with. If anything, I think Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, they make much more sense because they have more experience in this particular lane. Not to mention, by cutting off ties with Nickelodeon specifically, the creators will definitely have a better chance of venturing into darker and more mature content. And if they decide to continue doing business with Nickelodeon, I feel like eventually the creators will reach a point where they can no longer pass in terms of how experimental they could get with the content. And I feel like this franchise is something that isn't stagnant. It's going to continue to expand and become more mature. And eventually it'll reach a point where it's no longer appropriate for a channel like Nickelodeon. And that pretty much wraps up that possibility, and I'm pretty sure people can come up with numerous other ideas, but the only other ones that come to mind are obviously extending the Legend of Korra. But I feel like at that point, it would just be milking it out, and I feel like after book 4, it'll just be running its course if they continue to extend it. They could also make a movie, and by movie, I mean not the one that shall be mentioned, but an animated movie. The creators have definitely expressed interest in doing an animated movie for a bit, and the only thing that I'm concerned with is if they go that route, they need a specific amount of content in order to shove it into a movie's length. I mean, the Avatar 1 special during book 2 would have been perfect for an animated movie, in my opinion. Something like that. I don't know if they could do like a book in a movie. Like, I think it's too difficult to do so. So that is pretty much all of my thoughts on the current situation with book 4 of The Legend of Korra, along with the future of the Avatar franchise. So if you guys like this video, like it, comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys think on either topic. If you guys like this kind of content, subscribe if you guys want to. We do these videos every once in a while. And other than that, this is Jan, 1/3 of MediaShinobi. I don't know why I pulled out 2. Signing out. Later.